From enemy to ally, Jesse Winke is now a New York Met. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to the Jesse Winke trade, what it means for New York Mets, and what else the Mets have to do as we are getting closer and closer to that trade deadline. The Mets right now, they're still trying to hang on to a wild card spot. Right now, they're currently tied with the Atlanta Braves after having a very ugly loss yesterday that I was at. And while I was there, there were definitely some things that stood out. The ineptness of DJ Stewart not being able to get the job done offensively as a left-handed bat who plays the outfield, and it was obvious that the New York Mets need an upgrade, and they have chosen Jesse Winke. If you enjoyed this video going over the latest Mets news, make sure to hit the like button out of the ballpark. Slide into the comment section. What are your thoughts on the Jesse Winke trade? Is it a move you like? Is it a move you don't like? Is there a different outfielder you would have went for? We saw that former Met Michael Conforto was another guy that the Mets had dialogue with and was rumored to possibly be that replacement instead of Jesse Winke. Also, let me know, what other moves do you think the Mets should make? What are your trade targets as we do get closer to that trade deadline? And if you're new here, you really want to make my day, you can subscribe. It is always greatly appreciated. And if you're subscribed already, you know the drill. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a stranger, tell an enemy. You know what I mean? Jesse Winke, this is a guy that we really didn't like, and he always got booed. And a lot of it was out of fun, but now that he's a friend, so you can do the same thing. Even if there's someone you don't like, you can make an account for them and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it. Jesse Winke, right now, he was playing on the Washington Nationals this season, and so far for this year, he was hitting .253, had a .372 on-base percentage, .788 OPS, and 128 OPS plus. Now, league average for OPS plus is 100, so 128 is quite a bit above average. So that definitely is something that the New York Mets could use. For reference, both DJ Stewart and Tyrone Taylor have been under 100 all year, below league average. And league average is something that could change from year to year. So a 128 OPS plus isn't the same as a 128 OPS plus from a few years ago. Right now, it seems like baseball is down. So, 128 this year is lower in the past. Also, Jesse Winke does have 11 home runs this year. He does have 44 runs driven in on a not great Washington Nationals team. But what you really like about Jesse Winke is his .840 OPS against right-handed pitching. That's what the Mets are bringing him in for. They needed another guy who could do well against righties, who does bat left-handed. This team has become very right-handed heavy with the emergence of Mark Vientos and the addition of JD Martinez. When you go to that middle part of the Mets order, you could have a situation where you have four righties batting in a row between Martinez, Alonso, Vientos, and Alvarez. And with Jose Iglesias playing so well, he's gotten plenty of starts. He's also right-handed. And when Jeff McNeil was struggling, they didn't really have him higher in the order. Now that McNeil's been playing a little better, they moved him up. We'll see what the order is once Jesse Winke does actually get to start. He is active for this Braves game, but Ben Gamel is starting. So he got into the ballpark very late. He got there really right as they already announced the lineup, so I guess they probably weren't expecting him to make it. Just got off of a plane. I imagine we might see him as a pinch hitter if things don't go well for the offense again. And with Jesse Winke active, DJ Stewart was optioned to AAA Syracuse, so we won't be seeing him for quite some time. And you know what? The Mets, they gave DJ Stewart plenty of opportunities. He had his chances, and really they waited until the trade deadline before they made a move. And it just became more glaring as Starling Marte's been hurt, and now Harrison Bader's been down for a few days, that just having DJ Stewart in the lineup every day is not getting the job done. He just wasn't giving you anything offensively. The times they did get on base, it was probably because he drew a walk, but with his lack of speed, he wasn't doing much. Now, the downside to Jesse Winke is that, he's not great against left-handed pitching, but neither was DJ Stewart. But the other thing that is going against Winke and Stewart is their lack of range in the outfield. And with JD Martinez being here as the DH, if Jesse Winke is making a start, he's going to be in the outfield. And right now, when you look at his range, it's in the second percentile, which is very, very bad. A good percentile is in the 90s, not 2. So, right now, outs above average is -8. That definitely is concerning, but on the flip side, when Starling Marte was here, he was actually in the first percentile. So Jesse Winke is technically very, very, very slightly better than Starling Marte in the outfield. So no matter what, the Mets are just going to have a bad defensive outfielder out there starting, whether it was Stewart or Marte or, in this case, Winke. somebody just doesn't have much range out there. That's just the way the team is constructed. But what is encouraging is that they do have Tyrone Taylor on the roster to be that late game defensive replacement. So that is another option for them. Or if they want to put Iglesias into the infield and move McNeely outfield, maybe, but I also could see them just putting Iglesias at third lane games to take Vientos out. So you also have Ben Gamel on the roster still. He could move around more, but if anything, Taylor is going to be a guy that is the defensive replacement. I feel like once Harrison Bader is active again, we should be seeing more of what the Mets are going to look like. But the one thing that also is similar defensively to Jesse Winke and Starling Marte is that Jesse Winke does have a very good arm. It is very accurate. So that is something that at least you have something positive defensively. Besides the lack of range, at least he does have a good arm. And Jesse Winke is just an overall smart hitter when he's at the plate. He's a guy that he's not going to chase. He's going to draw his walks. You heard about me talking about his high on base percentage. So he's a guy that definitely has a plan at the plate, which definitely is needed on any team offensively. And I find it interesting that Jesse Winke was on Milwaukee last year with David Stearns running the helm, and he didn't do well there. But that didn't stop Stearns from acquiring Jesse Winke again. So he's going to give it another shot. And I am curious to see how the fit is. Obviously, Jesse Winke, he has the storied history with the Mets ever since he was in Cincinnati, making a game-winning catch and waving to the fans, and then getting ejected from the game, and fans, cheering and going crazy. And it's just always been something with Jesse Winke and the Mets. Plenty of big hits. I mean, as soon as our July 4th of this year, he ruined it with his pinch hit home run when there was just nothing happening because they decided to play an 11 a.m. game, which was beyond me. But, Jesse Winke is just a guy that's always been crushing the Mets, and now he's going to be a Met. And the one thing I do like about Jesse Winke is that even though he's been annoying to face, he's always been very complimentary of Mets fans. So I do like that. He is a guy that I think he's going to fit right in really well. He's got good energy. And the other reason why I felt it was very important that the Mets added an outfielder is just because I would not count on Starling Marte being a factor this season. I feel like with Marte, even though he's starting to progress a little bit, things are getting a little better. With bone inflammation, if he's not running yet, that's kind of where we're going to know where his recovery is as far as his knee. And with Marte, he's just a guy that has had so many lower half injuries in his career, in his Mets tenure, that you never know when something else is going to go out. And like I said earlier, with JD Martinez being the DH, if Marte comes back, he's going to be playing the outfield. So there's no just kind of DHing Marte and easing him back in and not making him doing anything too intense. Like, no, he's going to have to be a starting outfielder. So even if Marte does come back, there's a chance that he could go down again. So I like that the Mets kind of got an insurance policy by acquiring Jesse Winke. And it's just going to be good to have as another left-handed bat off the bench that you could use as a pinch hitter. So I feel like no matter what, it's going to be a good fit. Very small contract, so there's nothing big going on there. He's on a one-year deal for only a few $1 million. So that definitely is something that is also encouraging. Now, on the flip side, the Mets did give up Tyler Stewart in this trade. He was a right-handed minor league pitcher. He's a guy that you could see ranked anywhere from the late teens to the early 20s. So it wasn't, a huge loss that the Mets had. But still, anytime you're giving up a starting pitcher arm, whether it's someone who's going to be mid-rotation or kind of long relief, not ideal, but the Mets, they're doing a better job now with the David Stearns regime of just bringing in better overall talent that I feel like they'll be able to kind of... It's a move that they had to make. It's the trade-off that they had to do. And Tyler Stewart and DJ Stewart, for that matter, are not going to be really being meaningful contributors for you. So I feel like the Mets, that right now, they're in a very tough spot where they're in a short-term window with Alonso being on last year of his deal. JD Martinez is here on a one-year contract. Harrison Bader's on a one-year contract. Some of these starting pitchers aren't going to be here long. So for the Mets, they're trying to capitalize on what's turned out to be a good season for them after turning it on in June and July, having the best offense the Mets have had in a really long time. So they're trying to do something with that. And you know what? We'll see if it works out. There still is more moves that need to be made, though. Obviously, everyone would love more bullpen because that's been the Mets' biggest weakness all season. They've acquired Phil Maton. Now they got Ryan Stanek the other day. So they're making moves to improve that. But on this trade deadline, you're seeing some crazy packages for relief pitching. I mean, you saw for Carlos Estevez what the Phillies gave. You saw for Jason Adam what the Padres gave up. The reliever market is really expensive right now. So I don't think that the Mets are going to do anything too crazy in there. I feel like they might kind of continue what they're doing of going for guys with high upside, guys with experience who have done it before in the big moments, like Phil Maton, like Ryan Stanek. I feel like they're going to stay in that range, not going for like the top tier relievers, unfortunately. it's just never a great idea to give up big prospects for reliever rentals. It could just go bad so easily that it definitely is very risky. So I don't see that happening, but who knows? I mean, it still could. But where I would like to see the Mets park some top prospects is for starting pitching. It was really a shame what happened with Kodai Senga on this first game of the series. He finally came back, was looking great, 9 strikeouts, and then boom, out for the season because of a calf strain. That was just so unfortunate. So now, if you're talking about the playoffs, you're talking about a wild card series, a short series, you need frontline starters. You need elite starting pitching that can compete with the other really good starters that are out there and give you a chance. And with Senga not in the mix, Christian Scott's been hurt and not great. Severino's had his inconsistencies. Manaya doesn't go deep into games. Quintana and Peterson, they're tough to watch, even though the results have been there, particularly for Peterson. I feel like they need a frontline starter. I really would like to see them get another really good pitcher. Now, there are some arms that are available. The best one is probably Tarek Skubal, but unfortunately, the other contenders with better farm systems like the Orioles are going to be very aggressive in trying to get him. So I don't see the Mets topping that offer, but his Tigers teammate Jack Flaherty, is that something the Mets could potentially do? I would like to see them try. Jack Flaherty is a guy who he used to be good, then he was struggling, but now he's turned it back on. Obviously, Blake Snell is out there. That definitely would be an interesting one with his whole contract situation. So there are some guys out there. Garrett Crochet, you would have to give him an extension, which I'm not totally against because, again, with the short-term window, you're going to need starting pitching. You're going to need starting pitching for years to come. So if you want to make a trade for Crochet and extend him and say, okay, at least I have Senga and Crochet to build upon, and then we'll see what happens with Sproat, Tidwell, Scott, and these guys, I'm good with that. So we'll see kind of what they're going to do there, but I really would like to see them add some starting pitching, particularly, again, top of the rotation guys that you feel comfortable with a playoff start. And if you want to add me another reliever or two, can't be against that at all. And I feel like for the relief pitching, it's going to happen from within. With Daniel Nunez now on the injured list, I feel like once he's back, Sean Foley started his rehab assignment. Then if you get Reed Garrett to be anywhere close to what he was beginning of the season, the Mets can make do with that. I mean, you would have Diaz, you'd have Nunez, you'd have Maton, you have Stanek, then you would have Sean Foley, Reed Garrett, one of the Youngs, whether it's Alex Young or Danny Young. Obviously, Jose Budo has been massive in that bullpen too. So I feel like you could get away with that, and that could be a perfectly fine bullpen. So it's improved since they've made these moves. So I do have faith that they could kind of figure that out, hopefully from within, and then use the prospects to get that big-time starter. So again, let me know what you guys think about the Winker move, what other moves you want to see the Mets make, and what other videos you want to see from me. Make sure to tune in later today on the Mets Weekly channel at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing our stream after the Braves series. We do live streams after every single Mets series. So link is in the description. Make sure to check that out later tonight. And until next one, be safe, be smart. Let's go Mets.